good.
So I understand that you're saying that it's, I guess unethical or morally wrong to not be vegan.
Hmm.
However, I would kind of disagree and say if the person doesn't really have the choice, then it can't really be considered, ethically wrong.
True, true. So yeah, so obviously in like a survival situation, if you literally have no option, I'm not going to sit back and judge you for doing something to survive, right? In the same way, like if somebody had to kill somebody in a survival situation, I'm not going to be like, oh, like, shame on you. Like it still sucks, but it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm talking to the people who can go vegan. So I want to know from the people who live in a first world country, have access to grocery stores, who have no excuse why they're not vegan, right? I'm not over here preaching in like the Somalian deserts for these people to go vegan. I'm on TikTok where people have cell phones and technology. So I guess I just like running like quick consistency checks, right? So are you vegan or no?
I'm not vegan.
Okay. Do you sound young? Are you below 18?
I'm 19.
19? Okay, cool. Do you live with your parents still? There's a
No.
reason I'm asking because if you live with your parents and like you don't have your own income and can't go vegan, then like I'm not, there's no point talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't live with my parents.
Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna ask a like basically a consistency test. So like farming animals, turning them into cheeseburgers, slitting their throat, gassing them alive, for cheeseburgers. Like you obviously think that's morally justified. I'm guessing since you're not vegan.
Incorrect, actually. So a big part of the reason I'm not vegan is because I think that not I'm not in a good spot where I can get my protein otherwhere. Like I'm pescatarian, right? So I just eat like seafood,
Oh, okay,
essentially.
cool. So you're on board with the ethics. You do think it's immoral to do this to animals. You just believe that you can't get the correct nutrition in the spot you're in right now. Did I summarize that correctly?
Sure, yeah. And
Okay.
also, I don't know.
So there's a lot of really good sources of protein. I don't know if you've ever looked at like super firm tofu. It's literally a block of tofu like this big. It has like less than that, like that big. It has 70 grams of protein in it. I get close to 250 grams of protein every day of my life. I used to power lift. I have some state records. I currently train jujitsu 3 times a week. I have no problem with my protein intake. There's this cereal. It's some sort of vegan cereal. It has 20 grams of protein per cup. You got soy milk. You got vegan protein powders. You got nuts, beans, lentils, legumes. Like there's a lot of really good sources of protein out there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
What motivated you originally to become vegan?
Yeah, so I was exposed to the fact that we didn't need to eat animals to live. My name is Hunter. I grew up in a hunting family. I have deer antlers tattooed on me, and once I realized, like I always told myself I loved animals, and somebody brought up to me one day, like like if you love animals, like why are you paying for them to have their throat slit and be gassed alive, and you can just be perfectly healthy on a vegan diet? And I didn't believe him. I didn't think you could be healthy on a vegan diet.
Mm-hmm.
But I looked into it and I was wrong. Like the vegetarian cohort shows that vegans have the lowest cause of all cause mortality. Adventist Health Study 2, vegans have lowest risk of chronic disease. The American Dietetic Association shows vegans are healthy at all stages of life. So I was like, man, I really have no excuse. And then I looked into it further. It's also better for the environment. It's better at preventing zoonotic disease. So I was like, man, I have no excuse. And I do love animals. So I'm, going to go vegan.
Because the vegan diet is so beneficial for us at pretty much every level, why do you think that it's so unpopular?
I so for a couple reasons. One, because I mean we're just brought up in a society where we're taught that like we need meat to be healthy, right? We need meat for protein, we need milk for calcium. Like all these corporations are shoving it down their throat because at the end of the day they make money from us believing these lies, right? So if you're taught something your whole life and you're just like brought up thinking it's okay, and then you have somebody telling you like, hey, I think what you're doing is immoral, like you're gonna get defensive. People don't like looking at themselves as like an immoral actor. Like people don't like looking at themselves as like contributing to animal abuse. So like they're gonna be defensive at first, and I understand. I was too. I don't blame them, but I believe that's why. And people like animal products, right? They think they taste good, and at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are slaves to convenience and slaves to like kind of selfishness at the end of the day. Like as long as they are getting something that tastes good, like they don't really care if an animal has to die for it because they don't see the animal have its throat slit. I think if slaughterhouse
Mhm.
has had like glass walls and every time you paid for meat you actually had to watch a cow have its throat slit, I think probably damn near the whole world would be vegan right now. I think the fact that it's hidden from us is pretty huge. Sorry, that was kind of a ramble. I apologize, but I think there's a
No,
lot of reasons.
my thoughts on the are pretty much the same. I think it's quite interesting, like that you brought up that corporations essentially have been propagandizing. Is that a word?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know,
Sure,
but I know what
ethnic
you mean.
propaganda
Whatever.
is
We'll say it's a
against the
word.
American population. With the like the daily intake of food that you're supposed to receive, that was made up and basically bought by the dairy industry, by the meat industry. Yeah, so when we really start to realize as a people that we are basically being lied to for the fact that we can, get older and receive a bunch of medical complications that then we have to pay for. It's all like a closed circuit system.
Right.
We're paying more money for meat. We're paying essentially to get diseases quicker, die
Yep.
quicker,
For
and that's
profit, and
exactly what they want.
it's also killing our planet. Like the most comprehensive study to date done by a guy named Joseph Poore comparing an omnivorous diet to a vegan diet shows that a vegan diet uses 70% less land, less greenhouse gas emissions, less resources, less water. Zoonotic disease is a huge one. Zoonotic disease is when disease hops from an animal to a human, and 75% of emerging disease is zoonotic, and the most likely way that happens is through animal agriculture. So like it's literally killing us in more ways than one. So, but
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, profit's what it's all about to these guys. They don't, they don't care about morals. They care about money. So, what do
And
you do?
sure, absolutely, but both industries, like the dairy and meat industry, they're both so large and so ingrained in our society that it's going to be difficult to jump simply say, we need to transition immediately to a vegan diet. It
Oh,
has to be a very
absolutely. It's
slow
we're
process.
we're 100% fighting an uphill battle. But I'm gonna do the best I can every day of my life till the day I die because like it's a cause I truly care about. Like I truly think it's like disheartening to think like I have two pigs myself. They're the sweetest animals on like the earth. They love tummy scratches. They're super intelligent, super loving, and to think that like literally like hundreds of thousands of the like thousands and thousands of these pigs every day are like being sent into gas chambers like screaming alive for their life just so people can have a bacon sandwich when we could just like I don't know eat vegan bacon instead. Like it really does sadden me, and it's a cause I truly care about.
Do you think, I feel like people being so desensitized to the abuse animals endure in order to like satisfy their cravings or whatever, do you think that desensitizes them to other moral issues?
I actually don't. I think people generally care about people quite a bit. I think it's quite specifically animals, which makes it more of a harder battle for us, right? Because we're taught not to care about animals, or at least farm animals. Because again, if we cared about farm animals, these companies won't be able to sell their products as much as if we looked at pigs, cows, and chickens like we do dogs and cats. Nobody would be supporting these atrocities. So like we're just kind of cold to it because we're brought up to being told that we need to eat these products. And I was too. Like I was a hunter growing up. Like I said, like I have deer antlers tattooed on me. I was told by my dad like we need to eat meat in order to live. So you're gonna have to shoot this deer. And I didn't like it at the time, but I did it because I thought we needed to. So I understand where people are coming from. I'm just trying to like wake them up to like, hey, this is like pretty wrong, and like I don't know how long from now, probably a couple hundreds of years from now, like people are gonna look back on this in disgust and be like, like not be able to believe that we used to do this and perpetuate animals just in suffering like this.
Can I ask you, so is the main problem that you have with people, not being vegan, the fact that they are contributing to like mass amounts of animal, deaths per year, as in just like the way the animals are being raised and killed for in order, to be food, that is wrong. Like for example, if you had like a self-sustained farm and you had to kill pigs or something to obtain the meat after like they lived a long life, would that be morally more justifiable than simply like buying steak at the grocery store?
Would it be better? Absolutely, it'd be better. But would I be okay with it? No, I would still see it immoral. In the same way as like my dog has a great life. I've given my dog an amazing life, but I don't see it justified to slit my dog's throat just because I gave him a good life first, right? Like I
Hmm.
don't like you're still taking away their preference to live. Like they don't want to have their throats slit. At the end of the day, I still see it as a rights violation. Like not to get into philosophy too much, but I'm a threshold deontologist, so what I care about is rights violations towards sentient beings. And
Hmm.
I see farming animals and slitting their throats as a rights violation, so I'm gonna be
A
against it.
threshold deontologist, the
Hmm.
threshold being sentience.
No, it's so a deontologist believes in certain actions are wrong, so I believe in like violating the rights of sentient beings is wrong, and I think that it's always going to be wrong unless a certain threshold of utility is met. So like say like I had to violate the right of one sentient being in order to like save the planet. Like I'm going to
Hmm.
say that action is justified in virtue of the amount of utility I got from doing that action. So it's a little bit of philosophy. I don't like getting into it because I just
I
like
mean,
talking about
that does
veganism,
make
but
sense, but I think everyone's approach, like using that philosophy that you have, is different. Like, what if they view their utility as
oh,
going to
absolutely.
feed my family, you know?
Yes, everybody has different moral systems. I'm a moral anti-realist, meaning I don't believe in morals are objective. So what I do is I just run consistency tests on people, right? So I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, do you think it's okay to farm animals? Most people will say yes. I'll say, okay. Do you think it's okay now replace animals with humans and do the exact same things to humans? Do you think it's morally justified to farm humans, slit their throats, and turn them into cheeseburgers? Most people will say no. Then I'll say, okay, this is the consistency test. What is the morally relevant difference between humans and animals that justify slitting animals' throats and turning them into cheeseburgers, but not humans? People will say things like, oh, intelligence. So I'll say, okay, if we had a human with the same level of intelligence as an animal, is it now justified to slit their throat and turn them into a cheeseburger? They'll say no. That ends up in a contradiction, meaning the morally relevant difference between humans and animals is and is not intelligence, P and not P. So I just run a simple consistency check that can go across any ethical system. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, thank you for answering the questions I
Of course.
had.
I really appreciate you being respectful. Not a lot of people are, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Thanks.
Cool. We'll go on to the next one. Ginger YT. I guess this person has a YouTube. I don't know.
Yep.
Ginger, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Cool. How's it going, Ginger?
That's good. You?
Good. Good. Today I'm just basically trying to run consistency tests. If you're okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I was
Okay.
listening
Cool.
to the last one, and
Okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
understand the points.
I just like testing people's moral systems. I'll do my absolute best to be respectful. I don't like a toxic environment. So,
Mhm.
basically, are you vegan first off?
No,
Okay. Do you think it's moral to farm animals, like farm them, slit their throats, turn them into cheeseburgers?
not really, due to the way most of the food comes from.
Okay, so say like we had like a free range. These animals were given a great life, had tons of space to roam around in. Would you now be okay with farming those animals, like happy animals that were given a good life first?
Uh, I would be if the animals were almost about to die themselves, you know.
Okay, so that's that. As long as you're aware, that's not what happens in like
Yeah, I
99.99% of
know.
cases, right? Okay, cool. Well, we can still run a consistency check on that though. So,
Mhm.
say we had humans in the exact same situation, like we gave them a great life, like they literally were just about to die. Would you be fine with slitting their throats, turning them into cheeseburgers?
Mm, no, not really, because that's cannibalism.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, so. Now, all I'm going to ask is what's the morally relevant difference? Like, I gave you two situations. They're the exact same situation. The only difference is in one case it was an animal, in the other case it was a human. That means there's a morally relevant difference between humans and animals that justifies slitting their throats and turning them into cheeseburgers in one case, but not the other case, if they were given a good life first and were about to die.
Uh,
So, what is that
yeah.
difference? Is it like intelligence? Is it just the pure fact that they're human? Like, what is that
Uh,
trait?
the two reasons I say is one, the food chain, as humans are one of the apex predators,
Okay.
and two, just evolution in general, because we have evolved to need most of the products within animals.
Well, that's not true. We don't need animal products, right? We can be perfectly healthy off a vegan diet. The vegetarian cohort shows that vegans have the lowest cause of all cause mortality. The Adventist Health Study 2 shows vegans have the lowest risk of chronic disease. And the American Dietetics Association, which is the largest group of nutrition experts in the entire world with over 120,000 nutrition experts, say in a peer-reviewed statement that the vegan diet's healthy at all stages of life. So we don't need animal products.
Hmm.
So the symmetry baker basically that you gave then is food chain. We're at the top of the food chain. So if it weren't the case that we were at the top of the food chain, would it now be ethical to farm humans, slit their throats, and turn them into cheeseburgers as long as they had a good life first?
Depends on the situation and all that.
Well, it's in the exact same situation we're in now. So everything else is held equal. Like literally the exact same situation. All else held equal. In the animal case, you're fine with it. In the human case, you're not fine with it. So the symmetry breaker you gave was being at the top of the food chain. So if we weren't at the top of the food chain, would it now be ethical to yeah, farm humans?
I mean, it would not be ethical, but it
Okay,
would
so I have to
also not
stop
be.
real quick and we can adjust your answer again. I'm really trying to be respectful. So, that's a contradiction. That's P and not P. So meaning the morally relevant difference between humans and animals is and is not. That makes it okay to farm them. Is and is not the fact that we're at the top of the food chain. So that's just a formal contradiction. P and not P. Which is fine. You can rethink your position. This is hard stuff to think about, right? So I'm not gonna like expect you to have a good answer on the spot. You can rethink your position and give a new answer if you want, or add to it. That's totally fine.
Hmm. Yeah, I can't really think of anything.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fine. Like, you know what, give it time, think about it and come rejoin my live another day or add me on Instagram, I'll add you back, DM me, whatever, you know what I mean? And this is kind of what brought me to veganism. I realized there was no morally relevant difference between the two, and I'll tell you why. Because I think the things that most people care about are having the preference to live, so having the ability to have preferences, having the ability to suffer, experience pain, having the ability to feel well-being, and being sentient, like experiencing the world. And animals possess all of these things. So that's why I think it's hard to come up with a good answer because I think animals possess all the things humans tend to care about. But yeah, I'm gonna go on to the next person then. I really appreciate you being respectful. Okay, Ginger, if you ever want to talk to me again, just hit me up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Peace. All right. We'll do another. Too far. I'm just gonna go right down the order in order. So, fuck. Hold on. I got a little speaker set up so people can hear me better, and it just fell down. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think that guy's in. I'll go down. Ooh, the old crop deaths, though. I just read that in the comments. Yeah, the majority of crops are fed to animals that we eat, right? According to peer-reviewed research, it takes 13 kilograms of crops to make 1 kilogram of meat. So if that's something you care about, you'd be vegan. Okay, cool. Java, what's up? Is that Java? Sorry, I can't read. Java Pilled?
Java Field, how are you doing?
Java Field, I'm doing good. How about you, Java?
Not too bad, not too bad. Quick
Cool.
question.
Yeah,
When
what's up?
when did you become vegan?
When did I become vegan?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you. I became vegan it was either when I was 20 or 21. I think it was when I was 21. I'm 27 now, so it's been approximately 6 years.
Oh, nice, nice. How did you find it with like working out and stuff?
Dude,
Is it better, more energized?
yeah, so I'm not like a grifter quack. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and be like, oh, dude, so since I went vegan, like I can bench press 200 more pounds. I feel way better. I feel virtually the exact same. The only difference is right after I eat, I do have a little bit more energy and I feel less bloated, so it makes workouts easier. So like a good example. I'm a corrections officer, so I've been through like correction officers academies. And what they would do is they would starve us all day. They'd have us eat, so we'd all eat our food. I was like the only vegan, right? So I'd eat my food. Everyone else would eat their hamburgers and stuff. And then immediately after, to be douchebags, they would have us go on a long run, and everybody was puking. Their stomachs felt like crap, but I was just fine because I felt nice and light and not bloated. So that's the only difference I'd say I feel. Other than that, it's pretty much the exact same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know that your tattoos are like ammo byproducts too?
Yeah, no, so
Or
a
are you
lot of
just
people do think
eating?
that. That's actually not true. Actually, most ink today is vegan. They have plenty of vegan ink. I think it's called Eternal Ink, I believe, which is vegan and cruelty free. You can Google it. That's part of the
Nice.
reason I
All right,
went
so
to my
you're
tattoo artist is because I knew that he used vegan ink.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, so you're doing your research, just making sure that you're going right for it.
Yeah, absolutely, Java.
Awesome.
Do you care if I run a quick consistency check on you, or did you just want to ask your questions and leave? Because if so, that's fine too.
No, go for it.
Okay, cool. And again, I'm trying to keep it respectful, so don't think I'm like being a dick or anything. I'll give you time to think through this stuff. So in the case of like, I'm guessing you're not vegan.
No,
Okay,
but
so
I
like,
support that needs to do. So
yeah, cool. So, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. But so in the case of like animal farming, like farming animals, killing them, turning them into cheeseburgers, you think that's morally justified then? I'm guessing because you're not vegan.
to be fair, I catch chickens for a living. So
Oh, okay. So yeah, so you definitely think it's morally justified then. So
yeah.
yeah, no, that's fine. I get it. Look, I have a lot of buddies who are farmers too. I used to work on a dairy farm actually. It's hard work. I get it. I still think it's immoral, but I understand. Now, say if we were to replace those animals with humans, is it now morally justified? Like we're replacing cows, pigs, chickens, with humans, is it, and we're farming humans, isn't that now morally justified? So the exact same situation, except instead of animals, we have humans. I'm guessing that's not justified, in your opinion, right?
I mean, if we're taking the ones that deserve to be taken out, then
Yeah,
sure, why
no, no,
not?
I agree with you. If we were doing it to murders and rapists and stuff, absolutely, I agree with you. But no, innocent humans, right? So like innocent humans, we're farming innocent humans in the same way we do animals. Would that be morally justified?
I mean, as of living right now, probably not. But like, if I bet if I grew up that way, I wouldn't think any different. Just like
Yeah,
eating
yeah,
cows and
no,
stuff.
yeah. So I agree. If you grew up that way, you probably wouldn't think any different. But that doesn't mean it's not immoral, right? So you do think that's immoral. So now we have two situations. They're the exact same situation. In one situation, you have animals farming them. In the other situation, you have humans farming them in the exact same way. Everything else is held equal. So in the animal case, you think it's fine. In the human case, you think it's not fine. So that means there's a morally relevant difference between humans and animals that justifies farming animals, but not humans. So what is that difference? Is it because humans are smarter? Is it the fact that we're human? Is it the fact that we have opposable thumbs? Like, what is that morally relevant difference between humans and animals that justifies farming animals, but not humans?
Well, if it was a cow farming us, that would be totally acceptable.
See, yeah, see. I think that would be wrong. I think that would be morally wrong to be farming humans. But you said it would be okay. So, if we were farming humans to you, I'm asking you, would it be morally acceptable to you to farm humans?
At this point in time, no.
Okay, right. And you say it is morally acceptable to farm animals. So what is that means there's a morally relevant difference between humans and animals that justifies farming animals but not humans. What is that difference? Why do you think it's moral in one case and immoral in the other case? What is the difference between humans and animals that justifies farming them in one case, but in the human case, it doesn't justify it? Is it because humans are smarter? Is it because we have opposable thumbs? Is it because we're human? What is the difference?
I guess I'd like to say like we communicate with each other.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so communication. That's an answer. Thank you. So now, if humans didn't have the ability to communicate with each other, like we have certain humans who can't communicate, like right, we have severely disabled people who can't communicate. We have deaf people. We have people who just literally can't communicate. Is it now justified to farm those people who can't communicate with other humans?
No, but deaf
Okay,
people
so
can communicate.
I have to stop you real quick. So that's a contradiction. That's P and not P, meaning the morally relevant difference between humans and animals that justifies farming animals and turning them into cheeseburgers, but not humans, is and is not the fact that we can communicate with each other. So that's just a contradiction, which is fine. These are hard things to think about. So you can change your answer if you want, or just give it more time to think about and come back. It's up to you.
I honestly don't know. You put in a different perspective from me,
Yeah, yeah, and that's all I'm trying to do.
right?
And I'll tell you what I told the last person. The reason this is hard, it's hard to come up with a morally relevant difference that justifies it, is because animals have all the things that we tend to care about, right? They're sentient, they experience the world, they have preferences, they experience suffering, and they experience well-being. So that's why it's hard to come up with a difference because animals possess all the things that we tend to care about. So yeah,
Right.
that's fine if you don't have an answer right now. This is hard stuff to think about. I appreciate you coming on, Java. I seriously do. A lot of people aren't respectful, and you were, so I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah. One. I just want to say one thing
Yeah.
quick.
No. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry. What's up?
I feel these people that are being disrespectful, why they bother coming in here? That's why I
I
want to say to
I
everybody
agree,
that
I agree with you, but hey, it's
this
TikTok, right?
world.
It's okay. I'm used to it. I expect it. It's like finding a unicorn when I see somebody come in and is nice. So I appreciate it. Okay.
Nice. Take care,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Take
Enjoy.
care. You too. Um. Do, 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 do. All right. Let's see. I'll probably do one more, and then I'm gonna get off. So. Yeah. My back's starting to hurt. I got a really crap setup where I have to like lean over like this, but it's the only way I can get myself in and the laptop. So, Andrew, how's it going?
What's up, bro?
I'm chilling, man. You doing okay?
Yeah, well, I'm all right myself. I'm not vegan, not that I'm against it. I
Okay.
just was raised with normal. Well, not I can say normal, but
No,
like
it's fine. It is normal. It is normal.
I was
That's
raised with
fine.
traditional. Can't eat this, can't eat that, whatever.
Yep.
I was bit by a tick, and this is a very rare thing that a lot of people don't know about.
No, are you about to tell me that it
I
made you
developed a meat
allergic to
allergy.
meat?
Yeah, I
Dude,
developed
that's wild.
I have developed an allergy to red meat specifically, so that's like beef, and I can eat pork and everything like that. But I decided to really kind of go into a vegetarian sort of way of eating after that.
Okay.
And the only thing that I find difficult to grasp, like I do not eat meat, right? Like I eat animal products, I do eat cheese, but I do not eat meat. I don't like hunting. I've never been a fan of that lifestyle. I don't like big corporate farms. I don't like the big
Yeah.
dairy farms, all those cows that look like they're being abused. But I will
Cool.
say I have seen I've seen a couple podcasts, I've seen a couple farmers talk about how when trying to farm soy and trying to farm tofu, it
Yep.
creates a lot of pests.
Crop dust, right?
And they have to
Yep.
use a lot of pesticides, and that's also killing. Animals want to eat those soybeans, those tofu plants, and hunters
Yep.
use unethical procedures to kind of contain those. How do we fight against that kind of unethical farming? Because while they're making meatless protein for us, for people who don't want to eat meat, they're still creating, that they're still killing or hurting the environment with it. If you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, absolutely. So a couple things about that. That's one of people's favorite arguments to bring up when they come on is crop dust, and there's a few flaws with that, right? First off, like due to the laws of thermodynamics, we're always gonna need more crops to feed the animals that we eat because every step you move up in the food chain, you lose 90% of energy, which is why peer-reviewed research shows it takes 13 kilograms of crops to make 1 kilogram of meat. So 13 times more crops are required to feed the animals that we eat, right? We feed 80 billion animals a year compared to only 8 billion humans. The largest comprehensive study to date by Joseph Port shows if we were to go to a vegan diet, would reduce global farmland by 70%, in part due to the mass amounts of crops we're feeding to animals. Soy is a perfect example. Per the USDA, I think it's 75% of soy is grown to feed the animals that we eat. So this is actually a stronger argument for veganism. And I'm going to say two more things, and then I'm going to get to your question about what we do about it. Okay, it's a thing I get a lot, so I like to explain
No
about
worries.
it. Cool. So I'm a deontologist vegan, which for the non-philosophy people, that means I'm against right violations to sentient beings, right? I see farming animals as a clear rights violation. However, I don't see protecting your crops as a rights violation. I think you have every right to protect and harvest your crops. I don't see incidental death as a rights violation, for instance, like an animal running in front of a combine harvester, or like if a person were to like ignore stop signs and run in front of a car. Yeah, that sucks, but it's not a rights violation. And again, I think like spraying pesticides and stuff, I think you have every right to defend your crops. So I don't see these as rights violations. But even from a utilitarian standpoint, I don't think we have any reason to believe that crop fields actually increase net animal suffering or death at all. And I'll explain why. Crop fields replace wildland. Wildland has massive amounts of suffering on it. It has a higher carrying capacity because of the increased biodiversity. Animals are starving to death, eating each other alive, dying from infection, and dying from disease. So when you replace cropland or wildland with cropland, there's no reason to believe that you're actually increasing the overall net animal suffering unless somebody can give to me a comparative analysis between an acre of wild field and an acre of crop field and show to me that the acre of crop field actually has more animal suffering on it, and I'm yet to see that. So I have no problem with crop dust, but now to answer your question, I think there's a lot of, because I still don't like crop dusts, right? Even though I don't see it as immoral, I still see it better to not have them. In the same way, I don't think you're immoral to not give to charity, but it's better to give to charity. There's a thing called veganic farming, and vertical farming. Vertical farming has literally zero death in it. So those are two ways that we can get around that. Sorry, that was really long-winded. I apologize for that. I just have a lot to say about it because it's a thing I get a lot. So,
if you could explain real quick, I don't want to keep it too long, but if you could explain real quick what you said about the philosophical veganism, that was for me. I'm in college. I take a couple philosophy classes. I'm just curious about how veganism incorporates, because you're right. Like there's always the more arguments with like taxing and charity and what you said, but with I never heard it referred to with veganism.
Yeah, that's super cool that you have a couple philosophy classes, so maybe you'll understand what I'm saying. So do you know, I mean, it's like the two most like popular frameworks, like, do you know what utilitarianism is and like deontology? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, duty ethics and everything like that. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. So I consider myself a threshold deontologist, which means I think it is wrong to violate the rights of a sentient being unless a certain threshold of utility is surpassed. So for instance, I always think it's wrong to violate the rights of a sentient being. However, if somehow violating the rights of, like, say, one sentient being saved the planet or something, that's a sufficient amount of utility to make that action justified to me. Right. So, so my deontic rule basically is one ought not violate the rights of a sentient being. And I see farming animals as a clear rights violation. And I run a consistency check called Name the Trait to kind of show that to people.
That makes perfect sense. I appreciate you informing me with everything. I just had a couple questions. I thought I'd hop in here.
Yep.
I did want to say, I see people in the chat saying, why can't vegans just be vegan without annoying other people? I just want to say, you guys chose to watch this live.
Thank you.
Putting yourself in here. If you see a vegan creator and you watch them and you're upset about them being vegan, you should probably do a mental checkup on yourself. Other than that, have a great day, man.
Hey, Andrew, I really appreciate it, man. If you ever have any questions, add me on Instagram, I'll add you back, and we can talk, man.
Appreciate that. I dropped you a follow. I'll see you later.
Absolutely. Later. All right, guys. I'm going to end it at that because I didn't have a single toxic guest today, and I don't want to ruin that. It's a pretty rare occurrence for me. So, you guys should go vegan and drop me a follow. Take care, guys.